Good evening, everybody. We'll start with today's session. We are discussing regarding the chapter, the vital energy in universal application. That is the chapter number 5 from the H. Roberts since yesterday. He has tried to correlate this vital energy inside the human being, how it is correlated with the vital energy of the universe. In fact, it is the part and parcel of this vital energy which is present in the universe, which is there inside the human being. And how this is correlated. That correlation he tried to explain. At the same time, he tried to explain one more thing. There was one important thing that human is different than the rest of the universe. Planets also have this vital energy because of which they are revolving around the sun. It is the energy which has maintained them in a specific orbit and in a specific speed. They are not collapsing it with each other only because they are moving with a specific direction and with specific force. And the cause behind that is the vital energy over there. But they don't have a right of choice. They are revolving continuously without any stop, without any break. This is too important to understand. Where when it comes to human being, human carries the same vital energy inside him, but human is gifted with certain specific entities. First important thing, he is gifted with mind and logic. And because of which he can stop his motion, he can stand still, he can do all his activities according to his right of choice. And that's why this vital energy, which was there inside the human being, even though the person is not moving, it is present over there. When he goes with the nature, he lives long. When he goes against the nature, his life becomes or he spoils his life. And this is what he's tried to explain over there. This when this vital energy inside the human being gets stagnated, it starts decaying, destructing the human life. It decreases the speed of that human being. It decreases the life of that human being. It is lost. The body goes into specific decay and destruction after when the vital force goes out of that. So this aspect one has to understand. In order to understand that, we have to deal with all those dynamics of the human being. We have to deal with this person who has both the things, who has the body at the same time, who has all those dynamic vital energy or vital force, vital principle inside him. And we have to understand its correlation. Let us go on page number 50, the next paragraph. Since human beings as individuals have a right of choice, even in the face of operation of natural laws governing the vital energy, they have also been given those circumstances and conditions surrounding them which tend towards number one, correct choice direction, and number two, aids to correct the mistakes already made and to regain the normal balance. Both these conditions are found in three spheres, the physical, mental, and spiritual. Now he is turning that towards one important thing, understanding the human being in relation with this vital energy. He explains over there that human have got the right of choice, because of which certain times he utilizes it in proper way. Sometimes he goes against that, he makes a mistake. And if mistakes happens, then again he can overcome the mistakes and again come to the normal. This happens only with the case of human being. There is no question that because of mistake, everything is spoiled immediately. This is because he has three important spheres. The first important sphere is physical, the second is mental, and third is spiritual. So what do you mean by spiritual sphere? What do you mean by physical sphere? And what do you mean by mental sphere? These are three different entities. Many a times people consider that spiritual means only soul. No, soul is one part of it. Second important is that The spiritual means human is born with one important thing, that his life is devoted for the other's life. He always thinks, he should always think about the others than himself. There was no selfishness in the peoples, in the human beings when the human was born. They were thinking of others when they were thinking about everyone. They never used to think about themselves. And this was the truth. And because of which their mind was pure, their thinking was pure. That is what is spirituality in the human being. That was his concern. That was his inner mind, which was serving for others. That was his motto, with which human was born. But with the time, the Sora evolved and everyone was looking towards himself. The selfishness developed, the identity developed, and man started thinking about himself and not with others. This important thing one has to understand. Spiritual aspects means thinking about the self, not about the other. Thinking about the others, not about the self. That is spiritual level. But if this spirituality is disturbed, when man starts thinking about himself, that there is always a disturbance. So first sphere is spiritual, second is mental. Mental means here the external mind comes. Internal mind is inner conscience, that is spiritual. External mind, where the will and emotions plays the role, where intellect and understanding plays the role, where memory plays the role. All three important entities plays over there in the external mind, and they are part and parcel of human day-to-day activities. When there is a human always remains in this external sphere. He's having a will, he's having an ambition, he used to do many things, he wants to do many things. There are many things in mind, because and those are goes hand in hand with emotions. The every way the will is disturbed, it has been seen on face. When will is satisfied, it has been said, you can see it on face, in the countenance, is the in the body activity. So whenever the things happens according to your will, you are happy, you are excited. When things goes against your will, you are sad, you are disturbed, you are angry, sometimes irritable. So emotions and will, that goes hand in hand. That is the external mind and with which we used to live. Second is intellect and understanding. Everyone is born with both things. Intellect is one important entity of human life where he decides. The right of choice comes from intellect, whether what to do and what not to do. To come to the conclusion is maintained by intellect. I used to define intellect in a different manner. I used to say it is a part and parcel of one part of the human brain, with which, with the help of memory and logic, comes to a deduction, comes to a conclusion. It's called as an induction. It's called as an intellect. So intellect gives you conclusions. Intellect brings you a something decision. Understanding is as age advances, you start understanding the things in a clear manner. As age advances, you develop your superego and you start understanding the what is happening around you. All those things matters a lot, and that gives you a great significance. So this is a mental sphere. Memory is last part of it. Memory, there many people have a short time memory. Many people have long memory, which is good, but short memory is disturbed. Many people have opposite thing. So there are many disturbances at the level of memory. All these spheres are very important. And last sphere is physical, your body, the anatomy, the physiology, the structure, which has been related over there. And these are the things which reflects whether the things are going in right direction or wrong direction. If it goes in wrong direction, if there is a problem with this vital energy, it reflects in the form of signs and symptoms at any of the three levels, the spiritual level or mental level or a physical level. And then he says, On the spiritual plane, we find those aids which tend towards correct choice and aids to regain the lost balance in the form of religious convictions and beliefs. All those aids which foster the growth and development of spiritual life of the man. So spiritual life is nothing but the life which it decides what is right or wrong. It brings you again on right path. If you are going away, it brings. That is the work of internal mind. That is what you have to understand. Whole life of the human being is from external mind to the internal mind. If you reach towards more and more internal mind, if you reach towards more and more inner conscience, you develop, you become more and more human. So this is one must understand. That is what is called as the spiritual plane. Second, on the mental plane, we find instructions of various kinds which tend to development of the mental faculties and all those things which go towards an honest comprehension of human, of the individual towards himself and his relationship to others and towards all life. In other words, these things which foster sanity. So the second part comes mental sphere, where there is a question of relationship with of that human being with others. There is a question of understanding. There is a question of intellect. There is a question of emotion. There is a question of will. There is a question of memory. All those are related with the mental sphere of the human being. So that is second sphere which is reflected over there of the vital principle. And third, on the physical plane, we find those things which tend to keep us healthy in the body, such as suitable food and those things which we can adapt for better housing, cleanliness, sanitation, and many other things. With physical level, we used to think about all those physical things which affects your vital principle, vital energy. You maintain the sanitation, you maintain the personal hygiene, you maintain the house cleaning, all those things in order to have a better health at the physical level. So physical is material level, mental and spiritual are absolutely dynamic level. We find on this plane too many substances closely allied to the food which have within them a vital energy capable of being raised by potentization from the purely physical plane to that of the mental and even spiritual. This sentence one has to understand. Whatever food we consume, which produces its energy, it depends what type of food you have consumed. Most important thing is that the person who used to consume more and more spicy things, more and more non-vegetarian things, his mind is always reflected in a different way. He's short-tempered, he's violent, because the energy which is liberated from that specific food, even though it is consumed in material form, it goes to the stomach where it is digested, then it has been absorbed through the blood, the ATP is released, and that energy has the significance of the material entity, and because of which that affects the mental and spiritual pain of the human. That human behaves like that. The person who used to take purely vegetarian food, who used to go with the nature, who used to eat generally raw food, who used to eat more and more fruits in his life, or a diet which is absolutely healthy for human being. See the effect of it, even though it is going in material form inside, it gets digested over there, again release the energy. That energy works at the mental and spiritual plane in a different manner. The nature of that person is rather than different than the nature of the person who has consumed the non-vegetarian diet. The reflections are always there, and that is what is that has a significance. So see, the vital energy of the universe entered inside the that food, whether it is vegetarian or non-vegetarian, goes inside you. You consume it in material form, released in the dynamic form, and again reaches to the dynamic entities, the mind and spirit. Not only that, it released or it has been provided to the physical body also. The process is that how one get the vital energy of the universe to the vital energy of the human being. It is transmitted from outside to the inside in the form of a food, in the form of a water, in the form of a air, and that gets reflected in the vital energy of that human being. This correlation he wants to show in this chapter. So anything goes wrong with the food affects the human health. Anything goes wrong in the daily routine affects the human health. Anything goes wrong with the air, the pollution affects the human health because you carry those disturbed vital energy from the economy, disturbs your economy, ultimately expresses a disease. Why he is saying like that or why he is giving so much of time to explain the vital force, we must understand. We must understand this process. We must understand that this how the disease originates. Many aspects of it are getting expressed over there. And these are very, very important things one has to understand. So these are the things which I will, this Robert has explaining, and these are things one must understand. Next, what he says, these substances themselves are derived from three kingdoms, the mineral, vegetable, animal. We cannot definitely say that mineral substances in themselves possesses vital energy, but they are fragments of that which composes the planet, the earth, and that planet either possesses some form of vital energy in itself or is susceptible to being activated by vital energy to such an extent that it performs its appointed movements according to the law. We can use these minerals by proper preparation in the form of vital energy, not to perpetuate life, but to influence it on all three planes of the body, mind, and spirit, that the vital energy of individual may be thereby guarded against the decay and death. See, this is very, very important thing which is explained over there. This is the thing which defines that how this vital energy from the universe enters inside the human being and shows its significance. So there are three kingdoms from which we get the energy: the mineral, the vegetable, and animal. The minerals also carries the vital energy. This has entered inside our body. This has entered inside our body by in the form of food, in the form of air, and it starts performing or showing its significance inside the body. You see, if you consume regularly green vegetables inside your body, which contains more and more chlorophyll or iron, enters inside body, produces proper hemoglobin, you are remain always healthy and fresh because your blood levels are quite good. If you are deprived of that, you get anemic. See, the things which are there in the nature goes inside you, producing a change in your health, because these are the things which affect the human. So every kingdom has their effects on the human being. The minerals in the form of something that enters inside the body only through the food, vegetable, variety of food. So it has its influence over the body, it has its influence over the mind, it has its influence on the spirit, and it prevents the body for going toward the state of decay or death. It maintains the state of health. But if it has been lost, then the process of decaying starts. Then the process of destruction starts. If you observe the children in that Melghat, those who are having protein energy malnutrition, they never gets proper protein over there in their food. in their daily, you observe they are becoming more and more marasmic. They are showing typical signs of kwashiorkor because they are not getting the food which is necessary for them. They are not getting that energy, vital energy, which is required for them. And this is what he wants to explain, that ultimately the vital energy inside the human being is influenced by the vital energy of the universe. Then he further says, we recognize the presence of vital energy in the vegetable growth, and for it is evidenced in the growth and movement in the plant. According to the natural law of development, from within outward, the plant develops from the seed according to the physical characteristics of parents, and again, under favorable circumstances, passes on this spark of vital energy in its own fertility. Not only do we know that vegetable growth has this manifestation of vital energy, but it has been observed that mysterious vital force beyond our comprehension, which controls by the law of planets in their courses and influences the wind and winds and tides, influence the manner and periods of growth of individual plant, thus again tying what we know to be a manifestation of life to the universal energy. Vegetable kingdom we know. We see the many plants. Every plant carries their own specific growth and development. From where they get this vital energy. They also develops from the seed within outward. They grows and develops. How they develop? They carries the vital energy from the universe. They carries it from the roots, from the minerals which are there inside the earth. They carries it, and through which it starts developing, growing. That development is dependent upon that minerals. At the same time, whatever the genes which it carries at their levels, accordingly their growth is defined, their development is dependent on it, and it carries its own vital energy from the same natural source, from the universe. As the human used to eat that vegetable which have already carried from the universe inside those plants, and if they are eatable, human consumes, again produces a digestion and getting the energy out of that. So a vital energy from the universe carried from the vegetable, carried by the vegetables, gets transmitted to the human being in this process. And then further he says, the vegetable kingdom has probably served man in disease conditions longer than either the animal or mineral kingdom. In the homeopathic method of preparing drugs for medication, by releasing energy therein through potentiation, we found that from this source, which we regard as material, we can influence disorder on the three planes of body, mind, and spirit. We'll understand this concept very clearly. This is most important paragraph. First important thing, we'll consider this vegetable kingdom. We used to eat vegetables, variety of vegetables. We derive our source of energy from them. See how much quantity of iron is required for your day-to-day activity. How much quantity of copper is required, how much quantity of the phosphorus is required, how much quantity of any mineral is required. If you observe, or if you make a list and find it out in the books of physiology, they are very minute. Very minute. Many times they are in micrograms. How can it be that microgram quantity is responsible to maintain the blood? Every element, every mineral, it is required in micro quantity. This itself indicates when it is in micro quantity, it has a capacity to alter the human state of health. It has a capacity to maintain a human state of health as well as to disturb the human state of health. If it has been not provided in that minute quantity, it reflects in the disease. So if you don't get that minute quantity of iron, you get anemia. See, if you don't get that minute quantity of vitamin B12, you get a disorder. If you don't get minute quantity of vitamin D or vitamin D3, you get a disorder. So it is infinitesimal affects or maintains the human state of health. In the similar manner, our remedies, which are called to be a constitutional remedies, they are in the potentized, in infinitesimal doses, has the capacity to alter the human state of health. These are very important things one must understand. And this is what he trying to explain. He is coming to the same thought that why our remedies act in a so minute doses, because they carry their energy through that specific method of potentization in such a minute quantity, which has capacity to alter the human state of health at the level of vital energy. The disturbed vital energy used to come to the normal state because of minutest quantity of those ingredients. So we'll conclude over there. We are learning those minute details which have been explained by the H.A. Robert in order to understand or in order to explain. If any person asks you how your remedies act, many comments comes on human homeopathic medicine. It says it is placebo effect. You should be able to explain it at the scientific level. Why to learn these chapters? To anyone, if anyone starts commenting on you, you should be firm enough and you should explain the science behind them. That science, H.A. Robert has tried to explain over there in this chapter. Unless and until we learn this, we cannot answer. I have taken a seminar. I have been called, in fact, there is one big medical association in Ambegao Taluka Medical Association. A way back, nearly about 15 years back, 20 years back, in 2000, 2001, they have called me. And they have given the topic that what is the relationship of allopathy, homeopathy, and Ayurveda. And in front of me, all the practitioners were allopathic practitioners. Some of them were physicians, some of them were surgeons, some of them were even gynecologists, and all those big fellows. I talked about 2 hours regarding the homeopathy in front of them. Everyone was listening. And everyone was understanding, yes, this much depth is given in homeopathy, which is not there in homeopathy. They listened and they asked me such a question, sir, we have not known that homeopathy is so deep in their study. And if we know the things, we can confidently tell others. And that's why we should have that knowledge. We feel sometimes bored with those chapters, but no, you must know all those things so that you can explain to anyone, yes, this is homeopathy, how, at what level it works, that in which plane it works. Those things one must know. And for that purpose, we are learning all those chapters. These are basics, but very important. So we'll conclude over here. Today we'll meet at 8:15 with a simple, very important remedy of today's season, present season, that is equisetum. So at 8:15 we'll meet. Tomorrow there will be no lecture. We'll meet directly on Monday for the philosophy session. Tomorrow there is a seminar on Gaurang's platform at 8 o'clock. So psoriasis, its complications and homeopathic management, that I will going to deal with. So thanks a lot. We'll meet again tomorrow on Monday.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.